All right. Good evening. Welcome in. It's the Beast of the East podcast. We are finally back. The man, the myth. Whoa, I'm getting some feedback. Ooh, I was getting some feedback there. Okay, so we are back. I had the live feed up to like copy the link, and I left it up, and then all of a sudden it comes in, and you had that little delay. So I said, "All right, good evening," and then all of a sudden in my ear, it's like, "All right, good evening."
Okay,
I'm like, "What the?"
I thought I was over here messing up something. I was like, man,
Nah, threw me for a loop, man. Threw me for a loop. I was like, "What in the heck did I just do?" So anyway, the man you see to, I guess, my left, your right. Yeah, that makes sense. The owner of the Space City Rockets.
hey, yeah,
We'll call it that, right?
yeah.
It's Vinny Hardy, man. What's up, Vinny?
Tillman Fertitta sold them to me today. We just completed the transaction, and yeah, I do own the Rockets. Now I'm just wearing this because I am a Rockets fan, but Tata Washington just got drafted to the Rockets, and
Yeah, that's a good reason.
Doing all right in the little summer league, the little action he's getting, and
Yeah.
I read an article about in the Athletic about him. The guy that covers the Rockets, Kelly Eco, and the theme that they're hearing already is the same thing you heard in Kentucky. Dude's wise beyond his years, and he's mature beyond his 20 years of age. We heard the same thing when he was coming to Kentucky, and he's already kind of keeping that going in Houston. So hope Tata does well.
I do too. That'll be fun. The Rockets need it desperately. I can assure you that. But we are coming to you a little bit later tonight. Mostly, or actually, all the reason why is because we had late football practice, so we're trying to beat the heat in the month of July. This won't be a regular thing, but for the month of July, we're beating the heat. We're practicing a little bit later, so we'll be with you a little bit later each and every Monday night as long as Vinny is physically up for it. So we're glad to be with you. We're brought to you by BetOnline.ag.
As long as I wake up from my naps when you text me, get my little cat nap in. Oh, okay. As long as I wake up,
there you go. Yeah, you gotta get the cat nap in, but don't sleep too hard. I've done that before. You get a little, you think you're closing your eyes a little bit, then you wake up like an hour later, and you're like, "What?"
That's right.
So,
man, I stepped on the ad. My fault.
It's okay. It's okay. We could probably bet on how long I would sleep if I laid down right now. But
oh man, the over under is well.
What do you think?
School's out. I know you're still busy.
No, well, I mean, I have a 6-year-old that doesn't sleep, so school, no school, that doesn't matter.
Oh well, fact that's a big kind of curveball. I would say 4.5 hours over under.
I was gonna set it at 5.
I'm proud of myself for being that close.
I'm about 5.
Because I was saying 6.5. Then you said we got the 6-year-old, and I said, let me scale it back.
6.5 is a couple days ago. I got every once in a while he'll sleep in, but he counteracts that with getting up at 3 o'clock sometimes. So I get like 3 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep if I go to bed at 11.
You're a night owl anyway.
I want to be a night owl. My body doesn't let me sometimes, but naturally, if I'm well rested, I am a night owl. I do once I get past a certain point, unless my feet get even with my head, and then it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wrap. But like to be able to come on and do these shows like this, it's actually pretty. I got plenty of energy for that.
Yeah.
And I got plenty of energy for our partners too at BetOnline, and as they continue to be the number one source for all your sports betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, including NBA Summer League. That's exciting. I didn't know you could bet on that. Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. We can talk about that a little bit. The Braves, holy cow, 29-8 since. No, what's the record?
24 games in June. They went 24 in June.
Yeah, I think they went 24-6 in June or something like that.
Yeah.
Best record in the majors right now. Still a game and a half out of first place in the East. It's just freaking crazy.
Can't even worry about that.
Nah.
I honestly, the Mets did good and stayed good longer than I thought, but they're starting to Met, and the Braves are going to Braves. Yeah.
So July.
And everybody, all the Braves fans, wanted to maybe kind of get a little nervous with the start of the season. Well, last year we didn't get above 500 till August, so now they had they had that 14-game winning streak, that started them on this path they're on now, and a game and a half out right now. Man, come on.
Yeah, it ain't no thing. It ain't no thing. So head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today. Receive that 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code Bleav to get that bonus and get into the action. Bet online is where the game starts. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the Braves.
Who isn't an all-star is the question. I mean, Austin Riley's going, Dansby, Acuna.
Might as well just be the Braves versus everybody else, right?
Snit as the manager.
Yeah. I mean,
Contreras is going.
Yeah. Contreras, is Strider in there?
Oh, he should be. He made a big case for himself. It was so many Braves are going. Snitker is so nice. He even extended invitation to the Nationals manager because he said they didn't really get to celebrate their title last year because COVID messed it all up. So the Nationals manager is going to be like an assistant on the Braves staff, and that's how gracious Snit is. Hey, you come on and just enjoy it with us.
Yeah, screw that. Screw the Nationals.
That's what I mean. That Snit's got a better heart than we do, I guess.
Yeah, he does. So here's the starters, right? And this is not a beast of the American League East or beast of the National League East.
Yeah.
So the American League starters, Alejandro Kirk is starting behind the plate from Toronto. It's his first All-Star game. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is starting at first. This is his second appearance. Jose Altuve starting at second from the Astros. This is an eighth All-Star game. Rafael Devers from Boston in his second appearance starting at third. You got Tim, don't call him Jackie Robinson Anderson from the White Sox in his second appearance starting at short. Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. The latter two from the Yankees and the former from the Los Angeles Angels. And Shohei Ohtani is starting out at DH and is probably going to come in and pitch at some point.
That dude's insane.
That dude, yeah, he's ridiculous. The starters for the National League, Wilson Contreras starting behind the plate in his third All-Star game from Chicago. Goldschmidt from St. Louis in his seventh game at first. Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins in his first appearance at second. Manny Machado from San Diego from the Padres. I didn't know they still had a ball club. In his sixth appearance at third, Trey Turner from the Dodgers in his second appearance at short. Acuna, Mookie Betts, and Jock Peterson in the outfield. Two Braves.
Yep.
Jock is an honorary Brave. He's still a Brave to me.
True. Yeah.
But Mookie Betts, well deserving. And then Bryce Harper is the DH, and then William Contreras as well.
There you go.
In his first. Let's see. Do they have the reserves? The pitchers, Paul Blackburn, Emmanuel Clase, Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Clay Holmes, Jorge Lopez, Alex Manoah, Shane McClanahan, Shohei Ohtani, Martin Perez, Gregory Soto, Framber Valdez, and Justin Verlander. I just realized I only know like three people on that list.
Yeah. That's baseball's fault though. They did it to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So they just don't. We don't know the guys, and a lot of times it ends up being in the ninth inning. Mm-hmm. Some dude from the Marlins is coming in to close the game, and he's facing some dude from the Royals, and nobody knows who they are, and that's who determines who wins the All-Star game.
Exactly.
All the other dudes that played their inning or two, and deuces, and then you got these dudes that two last place teams out there.
Yeah,
going at it, but oh well. Man, I think I guess we didn't. I guess we got to keep the baseball going. We're SEC East, Beast of the East, but the homie Steve Willis is
Braves country. Yeah, Ole Miss, man.
Yeah. You know, those
Yeah.
guys, we haven't been on since
haven't been
they
on since
handled
then.
business out there.
Yeah.
I know they're in the West, but Ole Miss went out there,
He's
barely
still
made the
excited.
field, and as he should be, doing all his shows and championship shows, and I can't blame him a bit. They barely made it in, and then just said, "We're here. We're gonna win it all."
We're here. We're gonna kick the freaking door down. Yeah.
It gave me flashbacks. I said I'm believing Kentucky. 2012, Kentucky wins the national championship. Anthony Davis and all those guys. 2013, Nerlens Noel gets hurt. They go to the NIT. They don't even make the tournament.
Right.
Last year, Mississippi State wins it all. This year, they don't even make the tournament, and Ole Miss wins it. When Kentucky didn't make it in 2013, we had to watch Louisville win the title. Now, they got their banner taken down, but Mississippi State doesn't make it, and then they have to watch Ole Miss win it the year after them. It gave me flashbacks of us having to watch Louisville win it, and I figure everybody down in Starkville was like, golly. Now we
Does that mean LSU's going to win next year?
Well,
that's their other rival.
I mean, they got the baseball tradition. You know, it's it wouldn't. True. You know, they've been there and done it several times, but I kind of felt Mississippi State fans' pain because I remember watching Louisville win the title, cut down the nets, and we're not even in the tournament. I'm like, ugh. And now they get to celebrate the first title in Mississippi State's history, and then Ole Miss comes, and now they're like, so I'm sure they're like, ugh. Everybody, you know, Egg Bowl country is like, God, now Ole Miss is winning. Yeah. But congrats to Steve and everybody down there.
Yeah. You got a very important message from Bleav in Badgers.
Man. we got people on the case. Man, I'm reporting everything they do. I think Josh and Jared, the social media dude from Bleav, they asked about it, and I told them, and they're trying. It's a hot mess, man. I apologize for all the headaches it's causing all of y'all because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So my man Perko is he's concerned about you, Vinny.
I appreciate it, man.
He's concerned about you, Vin.
It's a mess, Perk. It's a mess.
Yeah. He's doing his thing at Bleav in Badgers. Him and Bernie, they're doing their thing, man.
Absolutely.
So shout out to them. But Steve, man, he's I don't know if we should promote the other guys, but
that's what I'm saying.
He's doing his thing at Locked On Ole Miss. He's their page is drastically improving, and hopefully this page will too. By football season, you never know. We also got some things in the works. Ray Vaughn.
Shout out
to Ray Vaughn.
I was on the meeting with him. It's down for us.
It's a free shout out at this moment, but it won't be pretty soon. Because we are hosts, right, Vinny?
We are a host. We are
hosts. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Been host for a little minute with them, and they had a fun little meeting about all the big things they got working and the kinks they're working out, and the hires they've made to help out with the big things they're expecting. Nice meeting with Miss Brittany and James, you know, the HBIC.
Well, you know what that means. I talked with her earlier today because I was like, I'm not going to be on this meeting because I'll be at practice, so I kind of want to get the inside scoop, and she gave me a little bit of it, but I think she recorded it and she's going to post it in the chat, so I won't have to miss it. But there's a lot of cool things. A lot of the stuff that she told me was really cool. So that's all I'm going to say. Because you guys are just going to have to find out yourselves, right?
They'll see when they come in when we're hosting. They'll see what all the as old people say, all the hubbub is about. They'll see
all the hoopla. What's all this hubbub about, man? What's all the hoodlaw, man?
Because I'm gonna be in there when y'all are hosted, and I'm gonna put, grab up as many Kentucky games as possible, and then jump around, see what everybody else is doing, and
for sure, you got to. We got to get in each other's games, but we're gonna test this thing out, and we're gonna test out these new features in the NFL preseason. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, get to some kinks out, and they basically said just come in there, and I mean if something breaks, it breaks. Fine, we want to know now. So
they want us to break it.
Yeah, in the preseason, just come in and rec shop, and they'll debug it all and be ready for NFL and college football kicking off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we got an action-packed show, Vinny. The title of the show is We Preview. So it's that time of year where we start to kind of look at the teams in the East. And, I wanted to kind of point inward at Kentucky, because Kentucky's in one of those weird spots where you're not quite sure if they're reloading or not. You're not quite sure where they are in that regard. So you want to you want to look at it as you want to say that they're going to reload, but you lose your offensive coordinator. You lose a lot of your talent to the NFL. You get a few transfers, but what's this team really going to look like?
I think as far as offensively, the thing is they won't look drastically different. Scangarello from the 49ers is running a lot of stuff similar to Cohen from the Rams, and that was kind of the whole point when they went out and made the hire. Even if they're not reloading, they're as close to being in reload mode as they've ever been, because normally they'll you see a big drop. You've seen them make moves before and then maybe not sustain it for different years under different coaches. 7-5 was kind of the peak under Rich Brooks, and then so 2 10-win seasons in 4 years. That's Georgia fans yawn at that, but that's uncharted water here in Kentucky, because prior to that happened in '77. That's the year I was born. The last time it happened. So they're better equipped to reload. The offensive line, got to fill some guys who left for the draft. Tim Couch himself comes out and says Will Levis reminds him a lot of himself. That's some high praise when you got first in the draft 23 years ago saying that about this guy that's coming back in Will Levis.
Yeah.
You won't have to force feed Wandale. You're going to miss him, but they're going to have more guys to spread the ball around to. So they still should be potent. You won't have one guy catching 100 balls. I don't foresee that.
No.
And got some guys coming back defensively too. Vito Tisdale, losing him hurts. Oxendine back on the D line. You lost him early last year, and he was coming right along and looking good. Still expect a solid season. The schedule is manageable. They're sure there's other teams looking at those games that we can probably win them, but Kentucky's looking at them and seeing a lot of winnable games on there as well, and that in itself is progress. We're talking about Kentucky football.
Yeah, I mean, the early over under was 7.5.
Yeah.
So where do you see it in there?
I think I'm gonna probably end up saying 9 and 3 again, with a chance for 10 in the bowl game. They're probably gonna lose a couple. Everybody's pointing second game of the season, just like last year. Last year was Missouri. This time it's at Florida, but Napier's gonna have them more organized. But I still look. It's a guy in his first year. You should beat a first year dude. We took our whoopings in Stoops' early years. We should be in a position to beat them when they're trying to get their act together. Probably still, you're not going to be favored to beat Georgia.
It's not yet.
Hard to pick a win at Tennessee. As bad as I hate to say that, just given the history down there. They've the 9-3 team in 2018 still lost to Knoxville. Should have won that game, lost to Knoxville. Lose a couple, and then there's probably a third one in there where you just lay an egg and just kind of have a dud kind of game, and that's where I kind of see them end up being 9-3.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you're kind of spot on. I mean, a lot of the publications have them finishing 2 or 3 in the East. Depending on how that Tennessee game fares, because you got to think Tennessee is going to be a lot better. You got to think that they're going to be in the 9-win category too, and I don't think both teams can sustain the 9 wins really. And I think that 9th win is going to come down to who beats who. But I think you get a favorable crossover draw. I do like the Mississippi State Ole Miss draw.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think Ole Miss is going to be pretty sporty this year. I think they did really well in the transfer portal, and we'll talk about that a little bit more with Steve on SEC After Dark. But I mean, your running game is going to be great, man. And Chris Rodriguez Jr. is coming back. I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that the defense just continues to hover around, third, fourth, fifth in the conference and scoring defense at 21.7 points a game last year,
Mm-hmm.
5.5 yards per snap. So, and they've really kind of done a good job of plugging the holes that have been left from transfers and NFL guys. Because you've had a couple NFL guys drafted off that defense each year that Stoops has been there. I think minus the first year, and they've continued to kind of improve their stats and can improve their play. So, I like that about this team, and it's really just more of a mentality than anything. And they finally, I think Kentucky finally has a quarterback that you can look at and say, okay, like this guy's consistent. We know what we're getting.
Yeah.
And the system's going to be similar.
And I think, last year he comes in late, doesn't have spring ball, didn't play a lot at Penn State. And when he did, he was, the running QB, I think the game will slow down for him this year because he's had spring practice. He's had a full year under his belt. Things will maybe, slow down for him. You got some more weapons. You got Keaton Upshaw coming back at tight end. You didn't have him last year.
Yeah.
So, he can spread the ball around.
That's a big piece for that
full
offense.
Year, he's last year's his first year starting, thrown into the SEC, coming in late, and he had a respectable season. Had a few picks that he would like to have back, a few throws he'd like to have back. The pick six against Tennessee, a couple little knucklehead throws earlier in the season. So I think I'm sure you guys have seen it with Stetson and guys that have been there. A veteran now. He was a leader and didn't know what to expect last year. Now he knows what to expect. It'll slow down for him, and he kind of has his feet on him a little bit. And I think that'll, we'll see that play out in his numbers and his production too.
Yeah, for sure. I think it will. I think you'll see a slight uptick. I'm curious, Vinny, about what this guy from Virginia Tech, Tavion Robinson's going to do.
There's been a lot made about him. We had Mitch Brown on. He's sports director at Fox 56 in Lexington now, but he's from that Northern Virginia area. Covered him when he was in high school, and his words to me, we had him on my Cats Talk Wednesday podcast. He said the dude's electric. He said he might not be Wandale, but he can come in and flat out, still be very impressive. So that was good to hear because he had already seen him from years ago back in the day. And as far as him stepping in and being overwhelmed or, not ready for the moment, he didn't foresee that happening with him at all. So
right. That's good.
That's, especially when you're losing a guy like Wandale who bailed you out a lot last year. I mean,
he did.
The Citrus Bowl against Iowa, that was his drive. I mean, you literally force-fed him. With Josh Ali being out, it was lock on Wandale and get him to rock. And
they did.
Yeah. So
and they did.
Good to hear, that with Tavion Robinson. Dane Key, a true freshman from Lexington, a legacy player, son of Dante Key, who played in the late 80s. Dane is getting a lot of buzz. He made some catches in the spring game. He's been consistently, getting buzz all spring and summer long, and he's got a chance to start. And that's, big, tall, long kid, huge catch radius, all that. So when he gets the little physicality and all that to, gets that used to adjust to that, that's somebody else that can take some pressure off. And, they got more weapons across the board, which is not a bad thing.
No, it's definitely not. And Barryon Brown is somebody else as well. That seems to be exciting. He's a Nashville kid. I got to see him up close and personal, man. That guy can fly. He can flat out go.
So as much, I mean, you guys are still going to be loaded, but
yeah, I mean,
considering what you lost, are you loaded, or just loaded this year? I guess that's my question for y'all.
Well, offensively, you've always got to kind of figure out the offensive line, but the only really weapon that was lost was James Cook, because I mean, yeah, George Pickens is a huge weapon, but
Yeah.
he didn't really play last year.
Mm-hmm.
He played in 2 games last year, significantly. I mean, he made like one play, and he had like one catch against Alabama in the SEC championship. Didn't really play much, but he really only significantly played in 2 games and made a decent impact, because he was probably still 70-75% at best.
Sure.
So you lose James Cook, who is probably the most dynamic running back that Georgia's probably ever had, as far as like the tools and the ways that he could beat you. Now, obviously, you look at Herschel, Nick Chubb, Garrison Hurst, Noshawn Moreno, Todd Gurley, Sony Michel.
Yeah.
You look at all the production from those guys. Yeah, they all no doubtly rank higher than James Cook, but the tools and the ways that James Cook could factor into a game was unlike any of those other guys.
Rodney Hampton. I mean, y'all got so many dudes.
Rodney Hampton. Yeah, I mean, but like James Cook, you could line him up at wide receiver. Like he was such a threat in the passing game, more so than any back that Georgia's ever had.
Most dynamic is James Cook and everybody else. Out of all those,
most dynamic, yeah. Like when I say dynamic, I mean like versatile, can do a lot of things. Can line up just about any position on the field and beat you and be elite at that position. Like he could have easily been our wide receiver 1. I don't see Sony Michel doing that. But as a pure running back, no, he's probably not better than he's definitely not better than those guys as a pure running back. And production, he just didn't get chances in that manner. I mean, if you stuck Herschel in today's time, yeah, he might be. But like those guys in the early, late 80s and 90s and stuff like that, it's kind of apples and oranges. But if you look at pure running back, those guys, obviously, they rank higher than him. But if you look at just the skill set and what James Cook can do compared to those guys, he's unlike anybody else. Like, we're not going to be able to replicate that anytime soon. And I do really like McIntosh and Milton. They're just not James Cook type dudes, which is okay. You're just gonna have to attack people differently. Which, if you look at the tight end room, I mean, that room's freaking loaded, man. So it'll be okay.
And Bowers, I was praising that kid every week.
Bowers or Reed Gilbert, like, let's not sleep on him. Oscar Delp, Darnell Washington, those are 4 guys right there that could easily be factors. So what scares me is that the Kentucky game at night
in November.
Late.
Love it in November.
Kentucky's a tough place to play. All right. Now, it's not these pantheon of college football stadiums, but it's pretty tight quarters there.
Yeah.
And
get into it.
Not an easy place. And for a defense that lost, you look on the defensive side of the ball, for a defense that lost as much talent as it did, that hurts. It's got to hurt. I mean, you don't lose 5 first-rounders and then not hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that about Bama too. It hurts, but I still think if you lose a significant amount of production, you're going from 6.5 points to 20 points per game, which is still really good, which is still a really productive defense.
Right.
But like, you compare it to last year's defense, it's not even close.
Right.
That's the scary part about what last year's team did. Like if you're Florida and you have generational talent, you should win the national championship. Georgia had generational talent on defense. They won the national championship. It took a weird road to get there, but they won the national championship.
Yeah.
For Kentucky moved the ball. They couldn't put it across the end zone, but they moved the ball.
Yeah.
You know, they actually moved the ball a little bit against Georgia on the road. They were a play here or a play there for making that game really interesting.
Was it Dean that blew up the screen?
God, I've never seen anything like that.
Up. 2 blockers out there. He knifes through
3.
Yeah.
Nobody touched him.
Knifes through everybody.
Nobody touched him.
That is set up. I mean,
I don't understand.
When it looks like, I mean, if you're a Georgia fan, you're probably, oh God. And I was thinking, oh, this is okay. We got something here, and no, we didn't.
Vinny, the range of emotions I went through on that play. As soon as was it Rodriguez or Smoke that caught it? It was the back. It was one of the backs.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw the back catch it, right? As soon as he turns around, I'm like, there's not a soul. There's not a red helmet in the picture here.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes one red helmet.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, he's going to make this tackle. He's going to make this tackle. Watch this. The O-lineman did not see him. He just went right by them, went around them, and made the tackle for like a 1.5 yard gain or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Like, that dude's special. And he did something similar in the Orange Bowl against Michigan.
Schemed up, man. It's schemed up. It's ready. It's
film,
there. Man. It's there for the taking, and no.
Yeah. He just knew watching film that, that Kentucky's very screen happy. They run a lot of screens. It's like a pro style type deal. It's like the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of figured, he snuffed it out. He did a good job snuffing it out. I mean, it's not anything bad that Liam Cohen did. Like, it was a great play call.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
I think against any other team, it's a walk-in touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But against Georgia, it's not.
Yeah.
But
close that gap. What?
Mm-hmm.
Time before last down there, 21-7 in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
You guys win 14-3 in Lexington. Last year, 30-13.
That was a snooze fest.
Yeah. So, the beat downs haven't been. It's been trying to close the gap. It's been hard fought games, but
Kentucky's past the point of getting beat down on a regular basis. I think every once in a while you'll catch a good one, but for the most part, I think you guys are at least past that point. But Mike Farrell seems to be. I don't know if this is just an article that he's writing because he needs to drum up some stories in the SEC East, or if he's really kind of buying stock in Big Blue Nation. But he wrote an article about 5 reasons why Kentucky will win the SEC East. So I saw that and I thought, okay, I gotta ask Vinny about this. Okay, so here we go. 5 reasons why Kentucky will win the SEC East. Here we go. Number 1, Will Levis. His growth. All right. So if he's able to cut down on the turnovers, he could be the top quarterback in the conference. He had 33 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He was top half of nearly every passing statistic. All right. Where do you see Will Levis? I mean, obviously, a lot of Kentucky fans are like, yeah, he's the best one in the conference, but let's be real about it.
The last list I saw, and I had a little back and forth on the Bleav in Kentucky account with Kyler Kerberson from host Bleav in Tennessee.
Kyler, we got to have him on.
They had him, which
we got to have him on.
He is in the East, even though I hate Tennessee. He is part of the
he is part of the East. But we got to look at what Tennessee's going to bring to the table.
That's right. They had top 7 in the SEC. I don't think Levis was even listed in the top 7. And I just threw his name out there, and Kyler kind of gave the roll eyes with the Hendon Hooker gif. So I think a lot of people outside of Kentucky, of course, everybody in Kentucky is like, yeah, he's great. A lot of people outside of Kentucky still, I think it's, well, he's from Kentucky. There's no, he's not going to be. But he mentioned his growth, which is essentially what I said when I think the game will slow down for him. He's got more weapons. So I think that would be a plus for us win the East. He's not going to be the reason they don't have a shot to win the East.
It's going to come down to him and Paul Sangrianello, however you say his name. Can they be in lockstep? But I mean, you look at the quarterbacks let's look at the quarterbacks in the SEC. All right, let's look at them. Bryce Young, right. All right. So I'm just going to list them. This is no particular order. Okay, I'm just going to list them out. All right, so you can get a little picture of it. All right, you have Bryce Young, Stetson Bennett, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, Spencer Rattler, Anthony Richardson. Whoever wins the Ole Miss job, Luke Altmaier is in the lead right now, so we'll say Luke Altmaier. Will Rogers, Max Johnson, Jaden Daniels. That's 10. I have no clue who Missouri or Vanderbilt's trotting out there, so they don't count. Zach Calzada and KJ Henderson.
Right.
No, KJ Jefferson. Jefferson or Henderson?
Yeah, Jefferson.
I never get that right. Ever. I know I should. Yeah, Arkansas fans are going to kill me on that one, but I never get that right. KJ Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 12 quarterbacks, okay? So let's put them in order. Let's see where Will Levis fits in that. All right, Bryce Young, Heisman winner.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be number 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who goes to number 2?
Wow. I mean, Hooker put up numbers.
I think you got to look at Hooker.
Stetson's won the chip, and I mean, he might not be lighting it up, but.
Yeah. Well, shit. No, I mean, he lit it up.
You can't knock what he's done.
He lit it up.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I don't think he gets.
He doesn't get credit because he's 5'10".
Right. He doesn't get the love, the adulation as a guy that lights it up. I mean, the dude's been there 11 years, just won the championship.
He had 2,800 yards and a 29-7 TD pick ratio.
Yeah.
He was 185 for 287, 64% completion percentage.
If he gets 100 more yards and he's 3,000 yards, does that change it? Does that make? He threw.
He needs to get about 4 inches and get to about 6'1", and that'll change even more. Yeah. He gets no love because he's short. Yeah. He produces. I don't think he's number 2. I think there's some people better. I mean, I think Hooker is a more productive guy.
Surprised me, dude, because coming from Virginia Tech, he was.
Well, that just didn't fit. Square peg, round hole.
Played him in the bowl game. I'm like, this dude right here. So I was like, I'm not really worried about him coming to Tennessee, and he's like you said, the fit. Rattler's got to show me. I'm not even putting him.
Yeah, I'm not buying Rattler yet. No. I'm not buying stock in that yet. I mean, I admire Shane Beamer as a coach. I think he's as good as anybody, but I just don't buy Spencer Rattler. Same with AR-15, Anthony Richardson. All the physical skills. I just don't know where he is because he was like not very good last year.
Yeah, I'm not buying Calzada either. I'm not
Calzada. No, definitely no Calzada. I like KJ Jefferson.
KJ, Hendon, Stetson. I don't know what's Kelly gonna do with Daniels.
I don't know. I think Daniels is such a cluster at Arizona State that we don't really know. I mean, you can see the talent, but he's going to be like what Hendon Hooker was coming in. Like you have no clue what he's got, right?
I think Levis is top 3rd.
I think Levis is 3.
Third in the conference. You know?
I could say I could easily say I could easily go Bryce, Hooker, Levis, Bennett, Jefferson.
Yeah.
I could, and then like Max Johnson.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then the rest fall however they fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could easily go that route. I would have no problem with that. I would have no problem if you switched Levis and Hooker. I would have no problem if you switched Levis and Bennett. Like those top 4 guys. Well, Young is number 1, but 2, 3, and 4, I think you could put them in any order, and I think you're in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Johnson Johnson will probably get the bump.
Yeah.
From being with Jimbo. You know,
will he though?
The system might help him from considering where he came from to where he's going.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
He's kind of a mess there at the end.
Show me. He's a show me guy.
Well, yeah,
he's a show me guy. Yeah. I just don't. I'm not quite bought in. Not yet. I'm not all the way in. I might buy a couple of shares in the Max Johnson stock just to say I got in.
Yeah.
You know.
You got him top half. You get him 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's top half. Yeah. But I just don't think the SEC is. I think the SEC is very top heavy at quarterback, and I think the bottom half is pretty bad.
And with you all know about this, Kentucky's kind of getting to know about this. Y'all have had winning streaks over a lot of teams, and you just go into them games knowing you're probably going to win. And the opponents
where we are right now.
They probably know, well, Georgia's going to win because y'all have been beating Georgia. Kentucky's beaten Missouri 6 out of 7. Beat South Carolina 8 out of 9.
I love the passion of Missouri fans. I really do. But my God, like they're not going to fare well in the league. They're just not.
So
they're not. We'll get to them more in depth.
Kentucky's got to 2nd in the league. They're consistently beating these other teams. Mm-hmm. They had to pass them. South Carolina been beating them since before they got good. We start off 5-1. They'd start off 5-1, finish 5-7, but they were beating South Carolina towards the end of Spurrier. Muschamp coming in and getting fight. They've been beating them for a while. They were beating them before they were winning 7, 8, 9, 10 games.
Yeah.
So you've passed them. You passed South Carolina. You passed Vanderbilt. You passed Missouri.
Yeah.
Beating Florida a couple times. Should have more wins against Florida than they do. They gave Florida a couple wins, but they beat them the past couple times as well.
I just think you can't get past Tennessee. That is the boogeyman.
That's the one.
That's the boogeyman.
They beat them when Butch Jones went 0-8 in the league in 2017, and they barely beat them that year. They beat them in Pruitt's only year. That was the first win in Neyland Stadium in 3 decades. Had them beat last year. The pick 6 we talked about. That's a throw Levis would like to have back. Defense kind of got hit in the mouth. Hendon hit them with a couple bombs to start the game.
They got Muhammad Ali where they got tagged and. They got tagged so many times before they even knew they got tagged.
I mean, welcome to Kroger and Velas Jones and them dudes were, good behind the defense before anybody knew what happened.
Yeah, touchdown, Tennessee. And
oh my goodness,
that is the biggest stat anomaly I've ever seen. Like Tennessee got like quadrupled in time of possession.
Oh my God!
They barely held the ball and they won 45-10 or something like that. It was ridiculous. Like what?
And Kentucky would have a long sustained drive and then
Tennessee 1 or 2 plays,
right?
Bam. Yeah. You're like, oh God. And their defense didn't get tired.
No, and you thought eventually maybe that's what would flip it for us. And it just never did.
Never did.
And that pick 6 to what's his name, Darryl Wilson or whatever his name is, Darryl Taylor, Alante Taylor, whatever Taylor.
Alante Taylor.
Yes, that was the killer. That was the
backbreaker.
Yes, sir.
So The second key is the offensive line. So that's a strength. Darian Kennard is a big loss.
Yep.
But that's a position they've been actually fairly able to easily reload, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Keontae Goodwin, I like him a lot. He was an early enrollee. He's 6'8", 305 pounds.
Yeah. All the tools.
Got all the tools, good feet, good hands. Just lacks experience.
Yeah.
Tayshawn Manning comes in.
Auburn kid transferred.
Auburn kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really like the production they're going to be able to have and help Chris Rodriguez obtain. He's closing in on Benny Snell's record. So I think this offensive line is going to help him.
Insane. Sonny Collins had the record for 40 years. Benny breaks it, and if all goes well, as long as Rodriguez, the DUI, his off the field stuff gets straight and all that, Benny won't have the record for 3 or 4, and then C-Rod breaks it. So that's unbelievable. Another thing too for the O-line is the coach. Well, Wolford came in last year from South Carolina, and you talk about fit. It wasn't really a fit. He ends up going to Alabama and ghosting them, and as far as coaching them the way the late John Schlarman coached them, there was a whole different. The vibe wasn't the same. They hire Zach Yenzer from the 49ers, who coached with Schlarman. Scangarello, the offensive coordinator, also from the 49ers. So the coaching will go back to what it was with that group.
Yeah.
I think even had Stoops say, well, anybody coached that group last year, just taking shots at Wolford. So it wasn't a good parting of ways. And
no.
Now you got a guy back in there, the kind of the what's the word? Because cohesiveness of the staff is going to be better with Yenzer coming in way better than it was with Wolford in the year he was there. So that's got to count for something too.
Yeah, so they'll be good. I'm excited about that. Defense, you're replacing a lot of superstars, but they also bring back 7 starters that ranked in the top 30 in nearly every category. So I don't know that there's any superstars, any guys that you're looking at. Are there any guys that you're looking at on the defense saying, okay, that's our dude? Kind of like the way y'all looked at Josh Paschal last year. That's our dude. Is there anybody like that?
Jordan Wright could be. He's got to have to stay healthy. Long, lanky edge rusher like they like. I think Vito Tisdale could have been, but they lost him for the season. He would blow up anything moving. The Smith kid from Ole Miss coming in is going to help in the secondary. Jacquez Jones is back for year 2, another Ole Miss transfer. Sorry, Steve. Thank you, Steve. But I think he can step up and kind of be a leader.
I think they did just fine in the transfer portal, so he's probably not even. He probably don't even care.
We'll see y'all week 2 for the reunion for those guys down there in Oxford, Steve.
That's right.
So, not week 2, but they do play Ole Miss. They play
Florida. I was
Florida.
gonna say Ole Miss plays Georgia Tech, I think week 2.
Yeah. But it'll be return home for those guys to the Grove, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. So impact transfers. You mentioned that we talked about Tavion Robinson, but again, leaning on the transfers. How? Those guys are going to be, big time contributors, right?
Yeah. I think they're expected to kind of hit the ground running. They're gonna have opportunities to do so. You lose Ali and Robinson, your top 2 spots.
Yeah,
it's there. The receiver room, that's one that you've seen this offensive line. You've seen the running backs with C-Rod and Smoke, and Lavelle Wright should have a chance to make some impact.
Yeah.
Levis, we've seen the tight ends. The receiver room is kind of they've been waiting. They kind of been waiting Wandale, you've been waiting for, hey, just grab a hold. It's here for whoever wants it.
I know, right?
And Lynn Bowden was kind of that guy, but he had to play quarterback. And the year every QB got hurt, they switched and just ran him. So pre-Wandale, it's like whoever wants it, jump a hold and grab a hold of it. So you got to got guys in place to do that again.
Yeah.
With Robinson and Brown and those guys. So
yeah, it's good they finally kind of stabilized the wide receiver room a little bit and figured that out because I think coming into last season we were wondering if Wandale was going to be the savior of that room, and I mean he was, but I think he also was able to boost those other guys up a little bit and create some production there. So that was a positive on that note, on that front. So very, very happy to see that. So and then of course, Mike Farrell's fifth reason is Bob Stoops, which Bob Stoops is on TV. Mark Stoops.
Oh, okay.
His brother, Mark Stoops. You're probably wondering, okay, how does Bob factor into this?
Like, I know we got Mike coming in to coach linebackers. Like, no, Bob done got a job too.
Yeah. I mean, coming in, like, what'd y'all go 2-10 for the first 2 years, and then all of a sudden just went 7.
2-10 Jokers last year, 2-10 his first year. Then he went 2-10, 5-7, 5-7. And then he finally got a 7-5 and
then flipped it. Yeah.
And both of those 5-7 seasons, they started 5-1 and then, just ran out of steam and couldn't beat Louisville to get that 6th win.
Louisville. Yeah. Couldn't beat Louisville.
And now the past 3 games against Louisville, they beat them by a combined 153-44 the last 3 years against. But this was back when, I don't know if Georgia's had this problem. A lot of teams go to a backup and it's a running quarterback, and you're like, oh, God. That one time they knocked Louisville starter out, the backup was Lamar Jackson, and that's when he got introduced to the world. And he ran wild, and the rest is history. We see what he's done. Yeah. How does Georgia fare whenever they knock a starter out and have a backup they haven't prepared for that's mobile? They might not have these problems like the rest of us mortal teams. They get carved up.
I don't know. Did you watch the 2018 SEC championship when we knocked out 2 and felt good about ourselves, and Jalen Hurts comes in and destroys us?
Is that the game that y'all lost to them like 32-28, or was that like 2012 an SEC championship game?
No, I think that was that game.
Okay, because it was. Yeah, I thought y'all had them. Yeah, so okay.
Every time we've played them and lost, the last 4 times we've played them and lost, we've had them.
Mm-hmm.
SEC championship, we had them there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we lost control, never really did. The year before that, 2020, we see them in the regular season. We're leading at halftime in Tuscaloosa.
Mm.
And they just started letting fans back. Had them lost. Didn't play them in 19. 18, played them in the SEC championship. Had them, lost. Ended up losing to Texas in the bowl game. The year before national championship, we actually had them on the ropes, and Tua delivered.
Yeah.
And then I think 2012 obviously had them on the ropes. And I think a few times in between 2012 and 2017, they smoked us.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like quarterbacks coming in and getting hurt and us playing athletic guys, I think if the athletic guy can come in and throw, like last year, it didn't matter. You could have brought in Michael Vick and we probably would have stopped him.
Yeah.
I mean, we had fits with Hendon Hooker. I mean, that first drive was a thing of beauty that Tennessee had against Georgia. Went down, scored immediately, and then that was like the only score they were going to have. Then we harassed him once we settled down. But I don't know. I mean, good quarterbacks give anybody fits.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the short answer, I guess. It's quite a thread if you're on Cats Illustrated, the House of Blue, about the Mike Farrell thing. You want to know what the top thread is?
What is the top one?
Top thread.
Just rolling in the
House of Blue. It is new basketball practice highlights.
Hey man, that's a rite of summer. That's
you guys just can't. You guys can't get out of it. You just can't do it.
When they eat, they ooze out any little thing on the
Just can't do it.
basketball Twitter account, and
Now you just go crazy, don't you?
It's broke down like Zapruder film. Oh, wait. Oh, did you see the shoes that he? Oh, wait. Oh, he had a boot on his.
Y'all go crazy, man. It's funny. I love it.
Man, I gotta ask y'all about y'all's former head man. I saw it a few days ago on Saturday Down South. Martin Rick named to coach the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame Bowl.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun, man. Yeah,
it's 20th, man. Him and Romeo Crennel are coaching each squad there. So what's up with you guy, man? What's about Mark?
He's got the itch. He's scratching that itch, man. And the Polynesian Bowl is probably very low pressure for him. So, I mean, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's in all seriousness. So, I mean, if he's going to get back into coaching, he needed something kind of like that. But
Mark Richt is like up there with Tubby Smith. If there's a list of dudes who he's a great coach but a better person that gets said about, Mark Richt is on that list.
Mark Richt
Tubby Smith is on that list. Yes. He's a great coach, but he's an even greater man. You've heard that about him for decades, man.
And a lot of people will be like, well, he's a great coach, even better man, but that doesn't equal wins. Oh, God, shut up.
Didn't he average 10 wins a year for y'all?
Yeah. People act like he was some like terrible coach. Well, he got burnt out towards the end of his tenure, and he got terrible like his last year. But
I have to ask Israel. I mean, Israel not on. I was going to see what he thought. I mean, y'all probably talked about him on several episodes of Bleav in Georgia, but I'm sure he's got nothing but love for him. I would think.
Yeah. No, he loves him. He's told, like, if you go back and listen to the very first time I had Israel on.
Okay.
You're going to have to go back in the Wayback Machine on that one.
Y'all, that's because y'all got it like that. Y'all got archives like that on Bleav in Georgia. That's what I'm trying to be. I believe in.
When did you start? You started before I did.
I got 100 and some episodes.
You were my first guest.
Really?
Yeah. You were my first guest.
Wow, that's
you and Perko together.
Okay,
that? You were in your car.
Yeah,
yeah. That was like my third show.
Man, okay. Yeah, I have to go and listen to the first one. Get some Troupe testimony on Mark Rick. Speaking of Bleav in Kentucky, I'm just real quick too. We got some changes coming. Got a co-host. Aaron Gershon is gonna hop on.
Okay.
It's kind of been official. We've been swapping emails and stuff. I've known him for a little bit. Like he produced on Big Blue Insider show I've been on in Lexington several times. So I knew him through Twitter, knew him through some of the media stuff he'd done. So he's gonna be hopping on, and we'll be probably this week do our first episode, and then at some point get a football guy kind of like Israel, and then basketball time they're looking to get a basketball guy on as well. So that's kind of some of the stuff coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Now so if you look at my show log, you're episode 20, but I was at that time I was like stockpiling episodes while I was waiting for my feed to pop up. I probably had like 10 episodes in the can.
Look at you.
And then stuff started happening. So
what they say in the business, in the can.
In the can. So you were the first person I actually had.
Wow.
You weren't the first one I released, but you were the first one I had.
Yeah. I got you.
But I'm trying to find where Israel.
15 episodes. I see you. Okay.
Let's see. Quarterback. Yeah. September 7th, 2020.
Oh, man. That is crazy.
I'm going to shoot the link out there for everyone in the show notes. So if you're listening,
yeah, I'm scrolling through right now.
Yeah, so I had him on that first time, and then he came on. Let's see. He came in.
His ears are burning right now.
His ears have to be burning.
Just on fire.
You guys talking about me? He came back on September 25th, and I think that's when his first. And then he started being a regular on September 30th. Because I had J-Boy on. I had Jake Crane on October 2nd that year.
Big time. Just this generation's fun bomb.
I'm over there on the Daily Wire.
He liked the link. He liked the link you put out, though. I saw that that you tweeted out before this show.
I'm trying to get him to interact a little bit. So, yeah, we're in our third season now.
115 episodes. Sure enough.
Getting there.
They just
hopefully 115 more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but
I'll go back and listen to that.
Yeah, you should. It's pretty fun. And it gives you some good insight on Mark Richt. But anyway, you can follow us on all social media. We're going to get out of here. We've been here for an hour talking at you. But you can follow us on all platforms at Bleav in Dawgs, at Bleav in Kentucky on all platforms, including TikTok. My latest video is at 5,950.
Oh.
And counting.
Okay.
Yeah, 5956.
Get them eyeballs on you.
The top 10 stadiums. Yeah, I'm getting a vast array of comments. But at Coach Burton 36, at Coach Corey Burton on IG, at Vinny Hardy, at Troupe Star 28 on all platforms, of course, at YCN_SEC. Also, where you can find the video link to this. And with that being said, Vinny, man, it's been a fun show. We deep dived into Kentucky a little bit. Hashtag Big Blue Nation. So we'll share that amongst the Kentucky fans, and we'll get this thing going, man. I'm excited. I have a great football season coming up down the pike. Ravon Sports is going to help that as well. At Row One Brand is somebody I've been interacting with a lot on Twitter. So that'll be fun if we can get them on board. They're an apparel company.
Oh, cool.
And with that being said, Vinny, let's have a great week. We hope you stay dry, stay cool, whatever the case may be in your neck of the woods. I think Israel described his current situation as being in Jurassic Park.
Oh, man.
As far as the weather goes, he's expecting a T-Rex to pop out of somewhere. So, not sure where that is, but we hope he's back with us next week. We'll have to get a hold of him with his football schedule. I'm pretty sure that they're going late too. So I not surprised there. But
keep it safe for him.
Keep it safe. Watch out for the COVID bug. It's floating around again. But we wish you a great week. We hope you're back with us next week, and we will talk to you soon.
Appreciate
Go
you.
Dogs.
See y'all next week. Go Cats.